Our guest is Dr. Raphael James. He is the founder and Director General, Center for Research, Information Management, and Media Development. Now, Dr. Raphael James is a historic and educative tourist who has visited over 31 of the 36 states in Nigeria. Dr. James is the founder and Director General of Center for Research, Information Management, and Media Development. He is also the founder of the largest photo museum of Nigerian history with over 36,000 photos. Fantastic. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on the show this morning.
Good morning. You're most welcome.
Thank you. And I love your cap. I love it. Fantastic.
All right, so today we're talking about history being a pathway to the future. But first off, we need to define how we can let our past, our history, define what we plan for the future. How then do you think that we can relive the past as an integral part of shaping the future?
Well, the truth about the reality I always tell people is that we actually can't do without our history.
Okay.
I'll give you an example. This morning I set out from my house. As of when I left my house, that had become part of history, isn't it?
Yes.
Now, if along the line between my house and this place, something had gone wrong with me, maybe I ran mad, obviously I won't remember where I'm coming from, isn't it?
Yes.
And I probably won't have an idea of where I'm going to go back. So that is actually the problem I think we are even facing as a nation. Nigeria today have actually forgotten where it's coming from. Because as of when Nigeria have set out of the house, something has gone wrong along the line. And that is where history comes in. We have to know our history. We have to know the starting point where we're coming from to help us have an idea of where we're going to go back to.
That's fantastic. Now, before we came on the show, we're having a conversation on when history was expunged from secondary schools and primary schools. Now that history is back into secondary and primary schools for teaching purposes, how can it be made interesting?
It's like in every other subject that is taught in school. We should find out what are the key interests that will interest younger people to love the subjects. When history was taken out of school, some of us, I know I'm part of one of those who kept on fighting for it to be reinstated. And in most cases, I've told people, I said, part of the reason why history was taken out, besides the fact that certain things needed to be hidden, we also had a situation where different people have different story, different version of history to tell at a given time. And that is because most time we tell history to promote either us as individuals or our tribe.
Yes.
It shouldn't be like that. We should actually tell the story the way things have happened. As a young man growing up, I read about Mungo Park.
Yes.
When I was in primary school.
Yes.
Up to secondary school, I kept hearing about Mungo Park. Until when I started my photo museum project, that was the first time I was seeing the photograph of Mungo Park. Now imagine if at that tender age, my teacher had shown me, this is the photograph of Mungo Park. This is Mungo Park trying to find out the source of the river Niger. It would have keyed in and stayed longer in me than it has stayed at the point in which I was taught. So those are the aspects that actually could be brought in to teach history. Children learn faster with photographs.
Yes.
Probably that is one of my interests in setting up the museum. So let us have a situation where we have younger people who will now be taught with photographs, with facts, things that I can actually see. If you have to move a child from, if you're telling the history of a particular place, and it's possible to move those kids to the place to go and see the place, feel the place, why not do it? That way they will understand it faster and it will stay with them as they're growing up. So that's my take on that.
What are the factors that led to we forgetting our histories? Could it be that our forefathers didn't pass on the information or something went wrong somewhere? What exactly went wrong and how can it be corrected?
Okay, I would say yes. That is actually the challenge Nigeria as a nation is having.
All right.
Nigeria has forgotten its history. There are times when I talk to people, I tell them that Nigeria's problem is not just corruption.
Okay.
Our problem is that we don't know our history. We don't document our history. We know practically nothing about us. And that challenge has always been there. Yeah, probably from our forefathers, probably from those in government. Let me use the forefather case, for example.
Okay.
Recently, I am from Abia State, and I married from Ogun State. The much I remember anything I've heard about my grandfather was that my grandfather worked with the Nigerian Railway Station.
Right.
I saw a letter of his retirement. I think he retired 1948. So I have that letter. I still kept it. I got it from my father. Now, that's the much I knew about my grandfather. But recently, I bought old newspapers of 1933, Comet newspaper of 1933. And in the course of going through the Comet newspaper, I discovered that my grandfather, I saw my grandfather's name as of 1933. He was working with PWD. Now, we don't have that information in the house. My dad don't know about that. Amazingly, sorry about that. Amazingly, I also saw my grandfather-in-law. Like I said, my in-laws are from Ogun State. My grandfather and my grandfather-in-law were friends in 1933.
Oh.
There's no record of that anywhere. So if I had known that earlier, probably would have made my marriage much more easier. I would have just spoken and said, okay, I mean, my grandfather and our grandfather used to be friends. We don't document our history. And because we don't document our history, there are a whole lot of things we don't know. In 2013, I think about 2013, I sent a letter to the presidency.
All right.
That was under Goodluck Jonathan, where I asked a certain question. I was asking, at what spot did the Nigerian green, white, green flag hosted for the first time? I know it is somewhere in TBS, based on the historical documents I've read. But where is it in TBS? I went to TBS. I asked the elderly people who work there. I went to the neighboring environment, like King's College and some of the courts there. I asked the elderly people. Nobody knew about it. They all knew it was done in TBS. But there's no exact spot where it was done. Now, interestingly, I think the Goodluck administration set up a committee that now went to the TBS and they have picked a spot. And a monument have been mounted there. That is history. That is all we want. We might not get it right, but at least let there be something there that can help us when we are making our historical documents to make reference to.
Yes.
Now, as I talk to you today, there is no record anywhere in Nigeria. I'm yet to find out if there is. I am challenging. I need to find out. There's no record anywhere of who designed the Nigerian coat of arms. Our coat of arms. There's no record of who designed it. I sent a letter to the College of Arms in Britain, trying to find out from them, because I understand the College of Arms, they are the one in charge of designing colonial coat of arms for all the colonial cities under Britain then. Now, they replied me saying that they don't have a record of who designed the Nigerian coat of arms, but that they have a record of when the motto of the coat of arms was changed in 1975. And when I went on Wikipedia, I saw in Wikipedia that they said Nigerian coat of arms was designed in 1975, and I said it's not possible.
Who got the information?
It's not possible. By a Costa Rican in 1975, it's not possible. Because as of 1957, when the Queen Elizabeth visited Nigeria, I have a photograph where the Queen was making a speech. Behind the Queen was the coat of arms, 1957. So how will you not decide in 1975? So I had to tell the Wikipedia officials, I said, pull down this information. It is better we don't have any information on it than for us to have information that is wrong. Because we have younger people who are growing up, just like you rightly said, most of them go on social media to go and search for information.
Yes.
I, for one, with the kind of thing I do, I hardly go to the social media because most time I see information that are wrong. If I did a post, I think about 3 days ago, on a group I run, a history group I run. Somebody posted a 1969 stamp. It was a commemoration stamp that was issued for General Gowon's state wedding. Gowon happens to be the only Nigerian head of state who had a state wedding.
All right.
And the person wrote that, it said source, Naira Land. And he said, this is the invitation card for General Gowon's wedding. I corrected, I wrote inbox him immediately. I said, this is not an invitation card. This was a stamp issued. Now, he has gone with that because he said he saw it on Naira Land. And a lot of people too would have seen it. A lot of people believe that is the real thing. But that is not the truth. Except if we make efforts to correct these things. The younger ones who are coming up are also going to grow with the information they are seeing, believing those information are the truth. I'm sure in secondary school you must have read that Mungo Park discovered River Niger.
Yes! That was the information we got.
But the truth of the matter was that the guy discovered the source of the river Niger. He did not discover the river Niger. But most of our teachers, what they read, what they were taught was what they taught us that Mungo Park discovered the River Niger.
There was a song for it.
Yes.
No, if you read even if his biography, he said, and I saw the source of the River Niger. So the word source is what has been missing in everything they've been teaching us. Last year, I embarked on a project on my own. I wanted to find out the details of the Aba Women's Riot of 1929.
All right.
Now, I've read so much about it. In fact, the interesting thing I tell people, I said, While I was in secondary school, my Greek teacher was the grandson of the man who led the Aba Women's Riot.
Fantastic.
And for every time he comes to teach us Greek, he keeps telling us about women. And we were never interested. What's the bloody business with Aba Women's Riot and agriculture?
In agriculture.
But I remember the first time I went home, I was in secondary school, so I went back to the village to see my grandmother, and I was telling my grandma, I said, Grandma, have you heard about Aba Women? I was posing. Have you heard about Aba Women's Riot? She said, who is that? The question, who is that, was like, this woman doesn't know anything about it.
Yes.
So I went ballistic, telling her everything I know. And when I was done, she asked me, said, what's my name? I said, your name is Mama Nuji. We call her Mama Nuji. The mother, Nuji, means 100 tubers of yam. I said, your name is Mama Nuji. She said, that's not my name. My name is Priscilla. My nickname is Nuji. Then she started telling me how in 1929, during the Aba Women's Riot, she was among the women who donated 100 tubers of yam to the rioting women to cook.
And that was where she got
how they started calling her Nuji. I never knew.
Wow.
And sincerely speaking, at that point in time, it didn't really make sense to me until I started this project last year. Because what started it, there have been a lot of write-ups on social media where they said the Aba Women's Riot started in Akwa Ibom. And they were giving credence to the fact that one of their state governors had made a speech in which the governor said the riot started in Akwa Ibom. I said, no.
Oy.
The Aba Women Riot ended in Akwa Ibom, but did not start in Akwa Ibom. It started in a village called Oloko in Abia State. So I embarked on this research project on my own, in which I had to visit 6 states in 6 different days. And I interviewed a whole lot of people. And amazingly, I came out with information that had been there all this while, and we refused to see it. Because they keep telling us that the women of Aba went on riot because they asked them to pay tax. My dear, there is no record anywhere. There is no record anywhere that women were asked to pay tax. There's no record. I got a copy of the panel of inquiry that was set up, and I studied it. What happened is this. The woman who was involved, Wanyerowa, when the tax collector went to Wanyerowa's house to collect tax,
all right.
Even if you check most of the report, they also tell you that Wanyerowa was a widow. She was not a widow. Her husband was alive, very much alive. Yes. Her husband was very much alive.
This information?
As the tax collector walked into the compound, the first person he met was the man.
All right.
And he told him, I've come to collect tax from you. And the man said, please go in and tell my eldest wife, because he had 2 wives.
All right.
So he went to whatever mission he was going to. So the tax collector walked in and saw the younger wife, Wanyerowa, who was doing palm oil.
All right.
And Wanyerowa, seeing him, knows who
he is.
Exactly.
And what he has come
to do. Yes. So Wanyerowa was like, what do you want? And the man said, well, I've come to collect tax from your husband.
All right.
And Wanyerowa asked, he said, you know my husband very well, and you know my husband don't have a job. So if my husband don't have a job and you want to collect tax, invariably, you have come to collect tax from me because I'm the one raising money to maintain the family. Did you get that story now?
Yes.
And the man said, well, I don't care. And you know what the tradition is. If you don't pay me this tax, I'm going to go back and call the boys to come and seize whatever property they can get. If it is your goat or chicken, they will carry it. And that was where Wanyerowa started her story. So she held him on his collar, his white shirt, and started screaming that the tax collector came to collect tax from her. And that the tax collector said, if you don't pay tax, I'm going to seize your goat and your chicken. And that is the news we have been told. But it was wrongly presented to us. And that is the challenge we are having with Nigerian history. We need to know this history properly for us to tell it to the younger one.
Exactly.
And that is one thing I'm trying to do in my own little way.
This is mind-blowing and very interesting, because you've said a lot of things that have changed, a lot of things that I've believed and I've read. You like it or not, she was very correct when she said a lot of us, we go on social media because that is the only place that we know, or a lot of people generally, even adults, go on social media because that is the easiest and the fastest way for them to access information.
Sorry to cut you. There was something that came up yesterday, a post I made on Chief Obafemi Awolowo, where I talked about how General Aguiyi-Ironsi signed his letter of release from prison. Now, there's this guy who just joined the group. I don't know him. He doesn't know me. He came and he used all the abusive words you can think of in this world on me, saying I was trying to distort history, that how dare me say that it was Ironsi that released Awolowo. Now, the truth of the matter is this. Of course, Chief Obafemi Awolowo for a long time kept it away because he needed a political position under Gowon's administration. So he did that. But along the line, as he was growing older, he wrote his story my march through prison. And in my march through prison, he stated it clearly. He said my receipts, my release documents were signed by General Thomas. In fact, Yunus was killed on July 29th.
All right.
Awolowo was released on the morning of July 29th. They were to fly him to Lagos. Then the prison officials were like, okay, now there's a commotion in Lagos. We are not sure what is happening now. There's news that the head of state has been killed or has not been killed. It is better we protect you, still remain in prison until we are certain about what is happening.
All right. Okay.
And by the 3rd of August, General Yakubu Gowon have taken over. And the document was on the table. When he resumed office, he saw it on the table that Yunus had been released. So all he did was he countersigned it. It is the counter-signing that we are all seeing, not the first signing.
The first signing.
Now, from what you have said, actually, it shows that we don't have a very good record-keeping
we don't
culture.
At all. We don't
have a very good record-keeping culture, and it's very bad. But
it's
how
terrible.
Can we fix it? How can it be fixed? Because we like it or not, we are moving on.
It starts with me and you.
All right.
If we start in our homes to document things that are happening the way they are happening, it will go beyond our homes to other places. There was an incident that happened some years back. The Federal Ministry of Information used to be at Broad Street.
All right.
When the Information Ministry moved from Broad Street to Abuja, I was at Broad Street and I saw the premises of the Federal Ministry of Information. I saw from outside, you will see piles of files heaped inside that place.
All right.
And amazingly, one of the windows was open and it was raining that day. And I was watching water flowing into that place and falling on those files.
Wow.
And I was asking myself, what quantity of information are we missing as this is going on?
As rain is falling into that office.
Yeah, a whole lot of things would have gone. Now, things should be done in proper perspective. We are not doing it because we want to promote a particular tribe, but because we want to preserve our history. These things have happened. They are part of the history. And there is nothing we can do about it. Whether we like it or we don't like it, they are our history, and we have to keep telling our history.
Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Well, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch all the videos we've posted and the new ones we're going to be posting. Yes, and click on the bell. It's just down here. Click on the notification bell to get notifications of more videos. Yes, thank you very much. Bye.
It is better we don't have any information on it than for us to have information that is wrong.